The 3rd of February of 2006 was the day the story of WSK International began. He found that the very day someone had told us that the 7 times world champion Michael Schumacher would have joined the ranks of the WSK drivers, people would have called us crazy. During that year, in fact, Schumacher was driving for Ferrari in the F1 Championship. He was the pillar of faith of the driving world, and during that year, only Fernando Alonso, on a Renault, forced him to step off the podium by collecting 7 victories, as many as Schumacher had collected on his Ferrari 248. "210 pilots registered for the first event of the WSK Euro Series 2013, only the best on the national and international elite. Among them, Michael Schumacher, who decided to join the qualifications and the races only after the 2 days of free trials. The track is the La Conca circuit in Muro, Leccese, one of the most challenging and elegant races in the international panorama. It's the perfect spot to start one of the hottest and most awaited competitions of the WSK Euro Series. To foresee what will happen on the asphalt, we only need to take a look to the list of the drivers. 4 different categories will join in, starting from the Mini 60, where the youngest drivers will compete, to the KZ, where the most experienced driver will shine in the heat of the race, passing through the KF and the KF Junior categories. The Mini 60 category is the haziest and the most difficult to interpret, due to the low level of experience of the young drivers. If we were forced to try and forecast a result, we would bet on Eliseo Martinez, a young driver whose prowess has been put to the test. Nonetheless, these drivers will be more than likely to give us an entertaining weekend. The man to beat of the KF Junior category is Alessio Lorandi. After the triumph of the WSK Master Series, everyone will be interested in understanding if he will be able to repeat his feats. Belonging to the same category are Giuliano Alesi and Mick Berch, sons of Jean Alesi and Michael Schumacher, respectively. The performance of the former during the Master Series was far from being perfect, but the young pilot has shown an incredible desire to improve and grow. The latter, on the other hand, racing using his mother's family name, has shown an interesting talent, whose origin is also to be due to former experience in other competitions. In the final phases, Mick was the protagonist of an exciting comeback which allowed him to get close to the podium. By going up a level, we find the drivers whose dreams and futures lie in the car driving world. We are obviously talking about the KF drivers, a difficult and unforgiving category to race into. The challenge for the podium cannot be ascribed to just one pilot. It is a group of very competitive and warmongering drivers who thirst for victory. The top entries are for the Canadian Lance Stroll on Zanardi, the French Boccolacci on Energy, the Croatian Martin Kodrick on Ricky Fly Motorsport, the Danish Nielsen on Cosmic, the American Sargent on Tony Kart, the French Armand Converse on Cosmic, the English Callum Millett on Zanardi. Among the Italians, Felice Tiene shows the right experience to gather positions in the rankings. The KZ category is home to the veterans of the kart racing, the ones who have collected European and world victories. These are the ones who decided to continue into the karting world for either professional reasons, becoming testers for teams, or for reasons related to budget. Max Verstappen is probably the only driver in the KZ category which does not fall into those definitions. Son of a famous driver himself, Max is probably dealing with his last karting season, and he decided to run among the most experienced drivers. Notwithstanding his young age, Max is still the man to beat after what he showed during the WSK Master Series on this very track 3 weeks ago. His challengers are known on the international level. Among them, Marco Ardigo on Tony Kart, Charles Leclerc on RGP, Arnaud Kozlinski on Birel, and maybe the 7-time world champion Michael Schumacher. Friday is dedicated to the qualification bouts. The first piece of information spreading like wildfire on the asphalt of the track is that the very Michael Schumacher has temporarily given up on his comeback to the racing world of karts. Schumacher, for the moment, will dedicate fully to the training of his son, Mick Birch. While this happens, on the track, Eliseo Martinez conquers the pole for the Mini 60 category. The young driver, behind the wheel of a hero kart, has tried his hardest to get the best time. Alberto Nigro and Abdul Ghaffar have also obtained impressive times. Twelve drivers of the KF Junior qualified for the Super Pole. Among them, the fastest lap time was given to Lando Norris, with an astonishing 46.329 seconds, which is also the new lap record for this category. Both Leonardo Pulcini and Leonardo Lorandi, second and third times, are still abashed by Norris's performance. KF also had Super Pole qualifications, and Callum Ilott pulled off the best time and got the new track record of 45.594. The Dino Chiesa pilot was able to outdistance the Croatian Martin Kodric by 0.2 of a second and the Danish Niklas Nielsen by 2.5 tenths. In the KZ2 category, Francesco Cialenta was able to surprise everyone by driving his Zanardi Cialenta and was able to pull off the new track lap record with a 45.246 seconds time, with an average speed close to 100 km per hour, about 62 miles per hour. The second lap time was won by Riccardo Nigro, who came in before the Dutch Marian Kremers on Birel. In the KZ1 category, the Italian Fabian Federer came up on top. The CRG driver obtained his first pole position by beating the Monegasque Charles Leclerc by only 19 thousandths of seconds, and the Dutch Max Verstappen by only 75 thousandths of seconds. Saturday is overcast, but the track is dry. The Mini 60 drivers are called on the track to dispute the 3 planned qualifications for the pre-final. It's once again Eliseo Martinez who claims the first position with the best results. The second place goes to Alberto Nigro and the third to Muiz Abdul Ghaffar, who is showing impressive improvements at a very fast pace. The KF Junior pilots drove through 10 qualification rounds. The Italian Leonardo Lorandi was definitely the best driver of the lot, finishing ahead of Tom Bale and of the defending champion, Alessio Lorandi. Impressive performances also came from Duravala, Pulcini and Sipnikov. A special mention goes to the English Norris, who won 3 out of the 10 rounds, but was cast down in the rankings by the accumulated penalties. Competitiveness and tension are high among the KF drivers. During the 10 qualification rounds, we witnessed heated battles which sometimes caused contacts between different drivers. For example, this accident which took place right in front of the camera we wanted on the court of the Zanardi of Lance Stroll. The most experienced drivers were able to take the lead. Among them, the Polish Karol Baz on Tony kart, the English George Russell on an official BRL kart, and the French Boccolacci on Energy. Among the Italians, Matteo Viganò on his Comer kart performed best, scoring the 11th place in the penalty ranking. The only language spoken during the qualification rounds of the KZ2 is Italian. The three best drivers were in fact Italians, and they go by the name of Francesco Celenta, winner of 2 of the rounds, Riccardo Nigro, racing on the R, and Marco Zanchetta from Maranello Racing. The Romanian Tomi Dragan was only one who managed to keep a candle up to the Italian trio. KZ2 is as packed with Italian awesomeness as KZ1 is devoid of it. Only Marco Ardigo was able to keep his national colors high, but his prowess was marred by the inadequacy of his technical means. Max Verstappen and Jory Pax, both driving a CRG, were both outstanding in the qualifications. The former was able to define once more the love he feels for the La Conca track. Jory Pax will be a phenomenal foe to fight against, as the English Benjamin Hanley and Lennox Lamb will be. Saturday is the stage for the 2 finals of the KZ1 and KZ2 categories. During the first KZ2 final, Francesco Celenta snatches up the chance of leading the race and is chased by a gritty group of opponents, whose names are Marco Zanchetta, Riccardo Nigro, the Czech Jan Mederla, and the Romanian Tomi Dragan. During the first 3 laps, Celenta tries to outdistance his adversaries, but during the 4th lap, Riccardo Nigro is able to pass him with his DR kart. Nigro is thus able to set an impossible pace for the whole race, while the second position is hardly fought between Celenta and Zanchetta. During the 10th out of 16 laps, the latter of the two is able to overtake the former. In the meantime, Tony Dragan is the intense protagonist of a comeback which takes him from the 8th position to the 4th, and overtaking, among the others, Celenta, who ends up 6th. Nigro wins the race by over 2 seconds of advantage on Jan Mederla and Marco Zanchetta. The first final of the KZ1 is the final event of Saturday. The tense atmosphere is immediately manifested into the surreptitious overtake of Verstappen at the hands of Jory Pax, who thus conquers the first position. Once in the lead, his speed skyrockets and the Dutch is thus able to outdistance all of his opponents. Marco Ardigo is able to violently withstand the assault of the suitors of his 3rd position for a long time, but in the end is overcome and slips out of the podium. During the 3rd lap, Jory Pax is able to keep his opponents half a second away. Nonetheless, Verstappen is able to bridge the gap, and during the 6th lap, he overtakes Pax, immediately flooring his accelerator pedal and outdistancing Pax by more than 1 second in only 3 laps. Paolo De Conto is able to shine in his own way during the furious battle for the 3rd position. Starting off in the 13th position of the grid, the Italian driver was able to pass 10 adversaries and close his performance with a well-deserved 3rd position. The first final is won by Max Verstappen winning on Jory Pex, second position, and Paolo De Conto, third. Sunday morning is sunny but chilly due to the strong cold wind. The Mini 60 drivers are ready to drive through the pre-final. Eliseo Martinez is in first position and is flanked by Alberto Nigro, who is ready to oppose the dominion of the Spanish pilot. And when the light turns green, Martinez is able to keep his supremacy, while Abdul Ghaffar is right behind him, ahead of Alberto Nigro, Kush Maini, Lorenzo Colombo, and Nicola Abrucci. During the second of the 8 laps, Abdul Ghaffar starts attacking Martinez, but the Spanish rhythm is so superior that he cannot be restrained. Abdul Ghaffar is eventually overtaken by Maini and Colombo, leaving him in 4th position. A heated battle for the second place ensues. The prize for the winner is the second place on Martinez's side during the final. In the meantime, Eliseo has almost 2 seconds of advantage on his opponents. Martinez is able to stop the hostilities by ending up first with a gap of more than 1.6 seconds on Kush Maini, who comes in second, up before Abdul Ghaffar and Lorenzo Colombo. KF Jr. will race through 2 different pre-finals. During the first one, the English Norris shows everyone his sheer will to win big. The Ricky Flynn Motorsport pilot has no real opponents, while he conquers the first position and then proceeds towards a continuous increase of his gap on his adversaries, which ends up being more than 3.7 seconds on the second place. Alessio Lorandi is able to gather a second position by finishing the race ahead of Daniel Ticknam and Nikita Sitnikov. At the end of the pre-final A, Lando Norris once again confirms his status of man to beat, while Lorandi and Ticknam are his closest opponents. During pre-final B, Leonardo Pulcini is able to have the upper hand in a head-to-head fight with the English Tom Bale. Pulcini, a Morsicani racing driver, has shown grit and bravery enough to aspire to a nice placement in the final. Third place goes to Gabriel Aubry, author of a noteworthy performance. The last pre-final is the KF one. Karol Batz dashes right from the first position, behind the wheel of his Tony kart, which seems to have given him new strengths and driving prowess. On the grid, George Russell is right beside him. When the wheels screech, Batz is able to gain the first position ahead of Russell, Nielsen, and converse. During the second lap, though, a contact causes Batz to lose his supremacy and to end up in 4th position, behind Russell, Nielsen, and Romanov. The English Russell has no problem whatsoever in keeping his opponents at bay. Behind him, the English Barney Coe and Snell are engaged in a bloody fight to the last turn with the French converse. Under the checkered flag, Russell is first, followed by Ben Barnicle. Before heading to the first final of 2013's Euro Series, a brief resume of the most breathtaking moments from the 2012 Euro Series. The first final will deploy the drivers of the Mini 60 on the starting grid. Martinez and Maghini will be starting from the first row, ahead of Muiz Abdul Ghaffar and Lorenzo Colombo, second row. When engines roar and wheels screech, Martinez is able to forget his opponents and races like there's no tomorrow, leaving Maghini, Ghaffar, Colombo and the Greek Konstantinos in his wake. No twists of the plot or sudden challenges for 6 of the 10 laps. Martinez is able to hypnotize his fellow drivers with his out-of-the-chart lap times. Leonardo Marsiglia gives the audience the only true emotion of the race when he conquers the third position, also owing to Maghini's and Colombo's penalties. Not surprisingly, Martinez wins hands down ahead of Abdul Ghaffar and Leonardo Marsiglia. On the podium, the happiness of Martinez is well deserved, after his superstar performances from qualifications to finals.
Europeo splendido, Eliseo Martínez, grazie agli ombrellini.
Ha sido bastante difícil, he hecho una buena salida, me he escapado unos pequeños metros, luego el piloto de la Baby Race, Kushmaini, me los ha recuperado y me ha pasado, pero luego le he vuelto a pasar y luego he podido alcanzar unos metros y he acabado primo y estoy muy contento y quiero agradecérselo al equipo que ha hecho ha trabajado de maravilla, todo ha ido súper bien, el motor, el chasis, todo ha ido muy bien y quiero agradecérselo a ellos.
The KF Junior Final should be a completely different ballgame considering the amount of pilots who are shooting for the podium. Norris is first in this endeavor, starting from the pole position, flanked by Pulcini, winner of Pre-Final B. After them, a gang of gritty and fast drivers, Lorandi, Tictum and Sitnikov. The battle is immediately sparked by the duel between Sitnikov, who is able to conquer the second position during the first seconds of the final, and Norris. During the second lap, the Russian is able to overtake Norris and gains the first position. The English pilot does not sit idly long, and in the following lap, the pole position is again in his possession. Everything seems decided, but for the fact that it's not. During the fourth lap, Sitnikov and the German David Beckham overtake Norris. The head group rests for a couple of laps, each driver studying his opponents and waiting for the right moment to strike. During the seventh lap, Beckman gains the first position, and another Russian driver, Vladimir Atoev, quietly sneaks into third position. It's non-stop gain, because in the following lap, Atoev overtakes his two main opponents and earns the lead. Behind him, Norris and Beckman. Unsatisfied, Norris attacks and overtakes Atoev. Once in the lead, there is no stopping the English driver, who will be able to come in first and win his first regional race. The second position is hardly fought among some of the hardest drivers of the day: Alessio Lorandi, Vladimir Atoev and David Beckman. Lorandi will be able to win the second placement only during the last seconds of the race, ahead of Atoev. The satisfaction of the pilots is well placed after the intense struggle they just went through.
Well, the race didn't start off great. There's a guy, one of the first laps, drove off the track and brought some straw and rubbish on the track. So when I went over it, because I was in the lead at the point, I just went straight off the track because I had no grip. And I went back down to 6th or 7th. And once my tyres were all better, I started to catch the people ahead and I was really fast. And I caught them, I kept overtaking them until I got to the front, and as soon as I got to the front I started to pull away, and then after I made a bit of a gap, I think it stayed roughly the same till the end of the race. So it was a hard race at the start, but then a lot more easier at the end.
The KF final will start with Russell in first position, flanked by his connational Barnico. At the start of the race, Russell is able to keep command of his opponent's lot and darts forward, followed by Barnico, Snell and Stroll. During the second lap, Barnico gains the lead, while the French Boccolacci is able to consolidate his fourth position. Russell tries desperately to retake what's being taken from him. Barnico is able to fend off his attacks for 2 laps, when Boccolacci overtakes Russell and starts sniffing the wake of Barnico's kart. During the 6th lap, the French driver is able to pass Barnico, giving rise to a beautiful duel, which is but the antechamber for what is going to come next. In fact, 3 laps to the end of the race, Barnico is able to regain the lead of the race. The heated duel gives Baz and Nielsen the opportunity to get back into the fray. A final dash by the protagonist of this wonderful race will assign victory to Barnico, ahead of Baz and 70 milliseconds later, Dorian Boccolacci. The stars of his final shine on the podium.
Well, it was a very difficult race. In the start, I got into the lead, which was very good, and then for the first 9 laps, I was in the front. But then Boccolacci passes me, and I think, okay, we need to pull on the other driver. So I push him, and so we get away from the other driver, and this is exactly what happened. And then 2 laps to go, I make overtake to him, and then in the last lap, he passes me in the 3rd corner. I think, oh no, he's finished, there's no possible win. But then I just stay with him, and in the last corner he doesn't close, so I brake so late and just overtake him and take the victory. But it was very difficult, and I'd like to say a very big thank you to Racing Steps Foundation, LT Grand Prix, and also TM Racing.
During the KZ2 final, Marco Zanchetta will start from the pole, while the Czech Miderla will be right at his side, on the 2nd place on the grid. In the 2nd row, Daniele Delli Compagni and Loris Spinelli. Zanchetta immediately takes the lead, followed shortly by Miderla and Delli Compagni, who, though, will have to retire due to technical difficulties. Zanchetta keeps the lead while Riccardo Nigro overtakes Miderla. In the back alleys, Francesco Salenta's rash attempt causes him to double spin and to crash another 2 drivers' karts. Five laps to go and Zanchetta's advantage shrinks by the second. 1 lap to go and Nigro is able to snatch the first position, his mouth already tingling with the taste of victory. Nonetheless, at nothing of a second before the race is over, Zanchetta is able to overtake Nigro right on the finish line and to conquer a well-deserved first place. On the podium, Zanchetta, Nigro, who will have to make do with the 2nd position, and Miderla, who ends up 3rd.
Sì, l'ultimo giro è stata una cosa speciale secondo me, perché avevo in programma di passare Negro proprio all'ultima curva dove lui ha chiuso e secondo me ha fatto un piccolo errorino perché è uscito molto lento. Io sono andato tutto esterno per acquisire velocità e ho solo mangiato la sua scia e all'ultimo con un guizzo anche di Reni ce l'ho fatta a vincere proprio per pochissimo.
The last final is for the veterans of the KZ1. Jory Pax will be the one starting from the pole position, flanked by Lennox Lamb and followed by Verstappen and De Conto. A fraction of a second is more than enough for Verstappen to overcome his opponents and gain the first position, leaving behind Jory Pax and Benjamin Hanley. During the 3rd lap, Kozlinski is involved in a nasty contact, which forces the race officers to display the yellow flags to allow the pilot to be recovered from the track. During this hiatus, the Italian Toninelli also stops to make sure that his French colleague is alright. When the race is resumed, hostility also are, especially for the third position, for which Jean-Louis Pax and Paolo De Conto are fighting for. Ahead of them all, Verstappen does not have any problem in keeping the first position strict to himself, and in opening a gap of almost 1 second between him and Hamlin, who, once noticed the impressive speed of the Dutch, will have to make do with the second position. Verstappen thus conquers the first victory of the series, ahead of Hamlin and Pax. It's the last podium in a weekend filled with skill, fairness and competitiveness.
It was a close race. I had to push the whole race. It was a little too much sliding, but I managed to stay in front of Ben while he was giving me some pressure. But yeah, I think it was good because I already won 2 races now in KZ, so I think it's looking good.
After the first round of the WSK Euro Series, the rankings list the following. In the Mini 60, Eliseo Martinez is in the lead with 85 points, followed by Muez Abdul Ghaffar with 40. In the third position, Kush Maini with 32 points. In the KF Junior, Lando Norris occupies the first position with 88 points, followed by Alessio Lorandi at 50 and Leonardo Pulcini at 47. In the KF, Ben Barnicoat leads the ranking with 70 points, followed by George Russell at 45 and by Carl Baz at 31. In KZ2, the leader is Riccardo Nigro with 65 points, followed by Marcus Zacchetta at 60 and by Jan Miederla at 40. Last but not least, the KZ1 is firmly led by Max Verstappen with 85 points, followed by Jean-Louis Pax at 40 and by Benjamin Hanley at 30. The next round of the WSK Euro Series will be held in Spain the next 24th of March, when the second event of 2013 season will unfold on the asphalt of the Zuera track.